just sing a little in glorification of Lord Sri Krishna. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. ISKCON's founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki. Shri Giri Govardhan ki. Shri Shri Nitai Gaura Hari ki. Shri Shri Nitai Sachi Sutta ki. Srila Prabhupada ki. Go Premanande. All glories to their Samo devotees. All glories to their Samo devotees. All glories to their Samo devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna devotees. How nice, how wonderful to be here with you all on this beautiful day. Just gearing up, getting tuned in for Sri Krishna Janmastami tomorrow. So we will begin by reading a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. But first of all, no, please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Yes, so it's Sri Krishna Janmastami. Let us read a very suitable verse and wonderful verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, right at the beginning, third chapter, which is about scheduled incarnations. So many incarnations, avatars, are mentioned, described, and this is now verse 28. Ete changsa kalapumsa Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Mridayanti Yuge Yuge. Translation: all of the above mentioned incarnations, because as we mentioned, this is a whole list of incarnations in that third chapter of the first canto, all of the above mentioned incarnations are either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord. But Lord Sri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. All of them appear on planets whenever there's a disturbance created by the atheists. The Lord incarnates to protect the theists. This is a very important verse. It's like a very definitive verse explaining who Lord Krishna is. One of our great previous acharyas, Srila Jiva Goswami, he points out that amongst those, the great devotees through the years and decades and centuries and millennia even, this verse, 1 Canto chapter 3 verse 28, is considered to be of unique importance. Unique. Unique means only one, the only one, which is defining, well, it's defining who is Lord Sri Krishna, but beyond that, defining what is the subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam, this great, great literature considered to be like the emperor amongst all the Vedic literatures. I'm sure many of you have heard names of different of the Vedic literatures: Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Yajur Veda, Atharva Veda. Then there's Puranas, there's Itihasas or historical literatures like Mahabharata, like Ramayana. Yes, so then there's Vedanta Sutra or Brahma Sutra. These are all different sort of departments amongst the Vedic literatures, but ultimately the conclusion of all the Vedic literatures is found in Srimad Bhagavatam. So, as I mentioned, it's considered like the emperor of all the Vedic literatures. The different Vedic literatures are considered to be like the kings of knowledge. But Srimad Bhagavatam is like the king of kings, or the emperor. And this particular verse, he says, this is what's referred to as the Paribhas Sutra of Srimad Bhagavatam. Paribhas Sutra is a standard Vedic type of conception or idea. Paribhas Sutra means that verse in any particular one of the Vedic literatures, that one verse out of many. In this case, Srimad Bhagavatam, we're talking about maybe 15,000 verses. That's a lot of verses. But this particular verse is the one which defines exactly what is the subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam. What is the message? What is Srimad Bhagavatam all about? And basically, what is Srimad Bhagavatam all about? It's about Krishna. Krishna, who is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Sanskrit, without getting too technical, but the Sanskrit says, Eti Changsa Kala Pumsa, means amongst all of these different forms of the Lord and partial forms of the Lord, then amongst all of those very amazing personalities, but Krishna's tu, Bhagavan Swayam, means that Krishna, well, tu means but. So out of all these so many forms of the Lord, but Krishna is Bhagavan Swayam. Bhagavan is really like the Sanskrit term, which is like the synonym in English for the word God. In Sanskrit, Bhagavan basically is the term used for when you want to say that this is God and specifically refer to God. Yes, like in Bhagavad Gita, those of you who've read Bhagavad Gita, studied it a bit, you may have seen how whenever Lord Krishna starts speaking, it's a conversation back and forth between Krishna and Arjuna. Krishna says something, Arjuna asks something about that, and then Krishna responds, and Arjuna says something else, and then Krishna responds. It's back and forth, back and forth. And whenever Krishna starts speaking, then it says, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. Interesting. It never says, Sri Krishna Uvacha. Could say that, because that's his name. But it's like a very formal literature. So therefore, the idea is, just like, we have our state president, and sometimes he's referred to as the state president, other times Mr. Ramaphosa. So, but in like very official situations, it's not just his name, but the state president. So similarly, Bhagavad Gita is very sort of official and formal, establishing foundational facts about the Vedic literatures and the whole Vedic tradition. So every time, without exception, there's not one exception, when Krishna starts to say something new, then it says Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, means God speaks. God is speaking. He's going to speak now. Yes, so Bhagavan's like that. Of course, the term Bhagavan is used sometimes, not a lot, but sometimes for others. Occasionally, at least in the Bhagavatam, there's at least one or a couple of situations where Lord Shiva is addressed as Bhagavan. Narada Muni, who's a great devotee, is on one or two occasions addressed as Bhagavan, indicating special importance under particular circumstances. But here, this verse says Krishna's too, but Krishna is Bhagavan Swayam. Swayam means the very one, the actual one. Not like we're using the term in a sort of broader sense, but he is specifically that actual one. He is the Bhagavan. Bhagavan meaning the possessor of all opulences. All opulences. Financial, beauty, power, knowledge, and there are other opulences. He has all of them in full. Beauty. You know, we jokingly say sometimes, some of you may have got a little tired of it, is that, yes, Krishna as Bhagavan, he has the opulence of beauty. And everyone has some beauty. I mean, even, you know, female elephants are attracted to male elephants. They see some beauty. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Or even the hippopotamuses or the, you know, whatever types of little creatures, big creatures. Yes. So, they all have some beauty for someone. Yes. The cockroaches. Mr. and Mrs. Cockroach. There's some beauty in the eye of, you know, the other one for their partner. And I'm serious, actually. I know it sounds a little light-hearted, but actually I'm completely serious. They really see each other in these terms. And so jokingly we ask sometimes devotees, well, Krishna, when Krishna was present 5,000 years ago, sometimes he would move around in public, and because he has all beauty, all of it, all beauty, sometimes when people would see him, they would faint. It was just such an experience. I mean, what can we say? They just couldn't retain their sobriety or even consciousness. They would just become overwhelmed, overpowered completely and lose consciousness. So yes, as we jokingly say, you know what we say, don't you? We ask the audience, that's you, did anyone faint when they saw you? Excuse me. And the answer is no. Because even though we have some beauty, at least there'll be one person who'll be attracted to us. Maybe there'll be many. But he has all beauty. And that's unique. So he's unique. And all knowledge, all strength. he has actually all of these things, all wealth. No, everyone has some wealth. I imagine you all have bank accounts. Maybe you own a house, a motor car, or you've got some investments or whatever, some life insurance. These are normal things, so that's some wealth. You have some wealth, a few thousand rands or maybe a few million rands. But he has all of the wealth. So how did you get your wealth if he has all the wealth? Well, the thing is, he loaned it to you. It's on loan. And sooner or later, he will take it back. Either when you die or maybe in the meantime you'll go bankrupt. We hope not, but these things happen sometimes. So yeah, so he's Bhagavan, but he is Bhagavan Swayam, the actual one who possesses all opulences, not partial, like Lord Ram. He's also a form of Krishna. So we chant, we were just chanting. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Same mantra we chant every day. Yeah. But he doesn't have all the opulences. He's like a powerful king. He's like a powerful king. But he has more of that sort of nature than Krishna's nature. Krishna, of course, Krishna is very playful. So anyway, this is a very important point to bear in mind and try and sort of come to grips with the special position of Lord Krishna. And then there's Srimati Radharani, his eternal consort. Oftentimes we don't just say Krishna, oftentimes we say Radha Krishna, because they are more or less inseparable. In fact, she is part of him. But because he is so special and expert and so amazing, he has placed this part of him outside himself. She is his eternal pleasure potency, his complete capacity, complete ability to enjoy and feel happiness. That's who Radharani is. And he has placed her outside of him, so they can have loving exchanges, happy exchanges, in a very sort of striking way, very special way. Doesn't mean that he has lost his pleasure potency, that it's gone from himself. It's still there, but it's also outside, as Srimati Radharani. One time Prabhupada, our spiritual master, asked a gathering of devotees in one of our temples in America. He asked what they thought, what sort of question is this? Like a really strange question to ask someone who is a devotee of Krishna already and who's worshipping Krishna, serving Krishna. Prabhupada asked the devotees, so, who is God? Hands went up. Krishna! Prabhupada said, no. Yeah. And then Prabhupada said, Radha Krishna is God. This special situation, very special. So there's a verse, let me read a verse here. It's actually from Gautamiya Tantra, one of the tantric Vedic literatures. Devi Krishna Mai Prokta Radhika Paradevata Sarva Lakshmi Mai Sarva Kanti Sammohini Pura, which means the transcendental goddess, Srimati Radharani, is the direct counterpart of Lord Sri Krishna. She is the central figure for all the goddesses of fortune. She possesses all the attractiveness to attract the all-attractive personality of Godhead. Did you catch that? She possesses all the attractiveness to attract the all-attractive personality of Godhead. She is the primeval energy, potency. She is the primeval internal potency of the Lord. Yes. So like this, Krishna, the position of Krishna, Radha Krishna. Well, it's a bit of a science, actually. It is a bit of a... In fact, it's not just a bit of a science. It's really very deep. It is very deep. It's not just some flippant sort of whimsical sort of thing, just, it's something extremely profound and foundational to life in this world. But what is life in this world? Well, life in this world, what it's meant to be, is that we are all the eternal servants of the Lord. And we should live like that. We should live as his servants. And whatever we do, he says in Bhagavad Gita, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, whatever you give away, you should do this as an offering to me. Yat karoshi yadashnasi yat jahosi tadasi yat tapasyasi konteya tat kurushva mad arpanam. Do all these things as arpanam, offerings to me. So we should live like that as much as we can. But first of all, we've got to get it straight in our heads and just understand what is what, so we can really sort of settle into that way of life. So Krishna is very special. We said unique, the original form, from whom all the other forms of God have come. We have one literature, Nectar of Devotion. It's probably available there in the next tent there. Nectar of Devotion is describing in a lot of detail about who is Krishna, what is his nature, and how we should live and how we can develop ourselves as devotees. And one subject which is discussed in Nectar of Devotion is that Krishna has 64 qualities. Actually, he has an unlimited number, but if you kind of combine those which are somewhat similar to each other, otherwise you'll have some astronomical number, or even beyond astronomical, just infinite number. So by combining those which are similar, then you end up with 64 qualities. And forms of the Lord, like Lord Ram, like Lord Narayan, like Lord Vishnu, like Lord Nrsingadev, for that matter. These different forms of the Supreme Lord, they have up to 60 of the 64 qualities, but only Krishna has the other 4. So I thought today, just to help us get a little more perspective on Krishna, we could run through these other 4 and say a little bit about each one, and so in this way give you something to meditate on and consider in trying to appreciate Krishna for what he really is. So first is we mentioned already beauty. We will not go through the same little thing we did a few minutes ago, but beauty. Here's an example, a different type of example. It's from Srimad Bhagavatam, and it's really very nice. If you've read Srimad Bhagavatam, and I know not many have read the whole thing, but at least in the 10th canto is, you could say, the biography of Krishna. You could use that term. From his appearance right through almost to the end. I mean, the end is actually described in the 11th canto, but it's just all about Krishna step by step through his time on this planet, about 5,000 years ago. So there, while Krishna was small, little boy, living in Vrindavan, one time, like sort of almost like a gypsy lady, she would make a living by moving around and selling fruit. She was a fruit seller. So she came, for the first time, she came to the village of Vrindavan, where at that stage, Lord Krishna, as a small child, was living. She came with a basket, like one of these wicker baskets. You get them a lot in India. It was full of fruit, all sorts of nice fruits, like mangoes. Prabhupada said the mango is the king of fruit. And the king of the mangoes is the Alfonso mango. Are you familiar with the Alfonso mango? If you're not, you have not lived. It's unique. It's amazing. You'd think someone's injected it with sugar, but that's just the way it is. Super sweet and amazing. Anyway, so she had all these fruits in her basket. First time, she didn't know who was Krishna. She didn't know this is his village or anything. It's just another village for her. So she came and sat down somewhere in some sort of central part of the village. It's a village. It's not like a town or what to speak of a city. It's just small. So she sat down in some central place and started calling out that come and get the fruit. Yeah. And Krishna, his house, where he and his parents were living, was quite close. So he heard this, fruit. Because people would come regularly and sell different things. This is another one of those kind of like hawkers. Selling something, selling fruit. Oh yes. My mother Yashoda was out at the time. She'll be very happy if I get some fruit. And Krishna had seen that when these people come hawking different things, Mother Yashoda would get some grains, like some rice or some wheat, something like that, just raw grains, and carry them out in her cupped hands and trade them for whatever, some fruit, some vegetables, whatever the person was selling. Trading, not actually selling, because in those days they would trade. They didn't use currency. Yeah, they didn't use currency. And it's interesting, in those days, for a handful of grains, for just as an example, for a small handful of grains, you might get a cauliflower, let us just say. And you know what? 50 years later, for a handful of grains, same like small handful of grains, you know what you'd get? A cauliflower. You wouldn't get, a fraction of a cauliflower, like nowadays. Back in the old days, you get a cauliflower, I don't know, for R1 or 50 cents. And now maybe you pay 10 rands, I don't know, for the same cauliflower. It's the artificial system of finance. But yeah, handful of grains, one cauliflower. 50 years later, handful of grains, one cauliflower. Haribol. So anyway, Krishna had seen his mother do that, and she was out. So he thought, I will do it and please my mother. So he took a handful of grains, and he went out, small boy. And as he's going out, some of the grains are slipping through between his fingers, and he gets there, and it's just really a small amount of grains. Just really a small amount. And he just, here, take this. Gives it to the lady. And the lady sees Krishna. First time now that she's seen Krishna. And sees, wow, he's so incredibly beautiful. And she was just overpowered, like we were saying. Would happen to people, just overwhelmed. Completely overwhelmed. And she was so just thinking that this little boy is, I've never seen anyone who was even hardly a fraction as sweet and beautiful and nice as him. So you know what she did? She gave him all the fruit. Now he's given her the grains. Now she's piling up fruit until the fruit's dropping off. And she gave all the fruit and took, a small handful of grains because he's just so beautiful. I just want to give him everything. So while she was doing that and she was emptying her basket, when she emptied the basket, by Krishna's arrangement, the basket filled up with jewels. Yeah. I just read a few days ago in Botswana, in one mine, they somehow or other dug up a 2,500 carat diamond. Did you see that in the news? Second biggest in history. Yeah, recorded history. So yeah, diamonds and rubies and emeralds and etc. Just like the real jewels. Just filled up her basket. Now her basket's full. So probably the value, I don't know, it's millions, multi-millions. And off she went. But you know what? She was just so attracted and overwhelmed and just fascinated by the beauty of Krishna. She didn't even notice all the jewels till she got home. She was staying somewhere around. When she got home, she saw all these gems. And she put the basket down. But you know what she thought? She did not think that, look, I got the mercy. Look at this. My finance problems are finished for the rest of my life. She didn't think like that. You know what she thought? She thought that this is worthless. I lost the association of that little boy. All of this doesn't make up for losing the association of this beautiful little boy. So you see, we cannot really understand these things because we've never experienced this type of beauty, this amount of beauty. It's beyond us. But at least, some appreciation can be there. She felt, I got all these jewels, I'm a loser. I lost out because I lost him. So you know what she did? She went back the next day and she met Krishna again. So beauty. Krishna has beauty on a scale that's just incomprehensible to people like us, even though we have experience of beauty. Then Krishna's flute playing. Well, these 4 special qualities, let me just tell you what they are. First one is beauty. Second is his flute playing, just unique flute playing. Third is he has devotees who have a degree of love of God which is not present in any of the devotees of any other form of God. If you get the idea, the devotees of the Lord in his multi-forms, they have so much love for the particular form of the Lord who they are associating with. But the devotees of Krishna means like the topmost devotees of Krishna. The love they have for him is greater than the love that the devotees of other forms of him have for the particular form who they're focused on. Yeah, so devotees, and then pastimes. All the different forms of the Lord, they have their pastimes. But the pastimes of Krishna are more beautiful than the pastimes of any of those other forms of himself. So anyway, we talked about beauty, but now the flute. You know, when Krishna plays the flute, well, some of you may be able to play a flute. There's one lady who comes on Sundays often here, right? And she plays on a flute, some sort of wind instrument. Maybe it's a flute. Yeah, is she here? Oh, she's there. There she is. Oh, okay. So no, I'm sure she's very good. But don't mind me saying it. Krishna's better. In fact, his flute playing is just so amazing, and you know, all sorts of superlatives we can say, the most this and most that. But it's just so amazing. Sometimes when Krishna plays the flute, and there's some cows around, which is often, because he goes every day herding the cows. So sometimes when he plays the flute, the cows, all of them, every single one, they become stunned by the sound of the flute. And Nectar of Devotion actually says, they become like painted pictures. You're just totally immobilized, completely, by the sound of the flute. Sometimes when he plays on the flute, well, what happens is, they go out every day herding the cows, but some of the time the weather is hot. Vrindavan is like that. It's hot a lot of the time. Just like I used to go to Russia, I used to go to Siberia a lot. Siberia is not hot. If you don't like hot weather, go to Siberia. You'll be very happy. It's cold. And there's a saying, in Siberia, 9 months of the year, the weather is cold. The other 3 months, it's very cold. Okay, anyway. So they're out there, and it's hot. And sometimes it's a bit too hot. And the cows are just struggling a bit, and the cowherd boys are just finding it a bit intense. So Krishna plays on his flute, and immediately clouds form overhead, just on the very spot, not like after half an hour or something. Clouds just are there, and it starts raining. but like extremely pleasant, fragrant rain. And they feel so relieved and satisfied. That's the flute. Sometimes they want to cross the Yamuna River, which is running the whole way from almost like north to south, something like that, through the Vrindavan area. And they decide they want to go to the other side, but it's a river. Krishna plays the flute. The river becomes hard. Even the cows, a cow weighs a good few 100 kilos. They walk across the river to the other side. Yes. Sometimes they're feeling thirsty. Krishna plays on his flute. The rocks melt and become liquid, and they make very refreshing drinks. This is the flute. And our Mataji back there in book tent, anyway, I don't think she's reached that point as far as flute playing goes. Keep going, you never know. But that's Krishna, flute playing. Then his devotees, his amazing devotees. It's just incredible, actually. The dedication. I mean, there's so many aspects to it, actually, that I was just reading this morning from Nectar of Devotion. Prabhupada was saying that sometimes Radharani, Srimati Radharani, she becomes so overwhelmed, just so absorbed in thinking of Krishna, and her loving mood just overflows. And it overflows so much that she sees a pot, a yogurt pot, and she thinks, there must be yogurt in there. I should churn it to make it into butter. So she takes a churning rod and starts churning in the pot, but there's nothing in the pot. But because of her love for Krishna, she doesn't even notice. And Krishna loves his devotees too. It's not just like a one-way street. The devotees love Krishna and Krishna says, thank you for loving me. No, they're extremely wonderful exchanges of love. And he loves them. So there's a description, it's also a Nectar of Devotion, that Krishna, when Srimati Radharani and the gopis come, because they're all moving around, they're living in the same village, so when they come by his place and he sees particularly Radharani, then Krishna becomes so overwhelmed. Well, just like we said, Radharani starts churning in the yogurt pot, but there's no yogurt. So Krishna also becomes a little sort of transcendentally dilly, or something like that, just sort of loses it a bit. And so therefore, he may be doing something, but he drops whatever he's doing. Crash. And everyone thinks, what happened to Krishna? Why did he drop that? But it was because he saw Radharani. Or maybe sometimes he turns around and walks into the wall. Bump. Because he just, loses it a bit. Sometimes he's talking to someone and he sees Srimati Radharani and he starts talking like, what would you say, double Dutch? You know what I mean? Talking sort of nonsense, gibberish, just some sounds, not even words, because he's so affected by the love of Radharani, because she emanates that affection. And so in the Nectar of Devotion, there's a description how Krishna, after these types of things happening for some time, Krishna felt, I've had enough of this. making myself seem foolish. People laugh at me. I drop things and, that sort of thing. Make a fool of myself. So, next time, let them come. Let Radharani come. Let the gopis come. Let them come. I don't mind. I will be cool. I will be unaffected. Let them come. No problem. I'll just carry on doing whatever I'm doing. Cool as a proverbial cucumber. And there we go. So, right. Now he's milking the cows. And who should come but Radharani and the gopis? And Krishna notices, oops, here they come again. Okay, no problem. I am cool. I am together. It's okay. I'll just carry on. I'm milking the cows and life is normal and it's okay. So Radharani and the gopis come by and they're sort of approaching and sort of coming by, and they notice there's Krishna and he seems cool, like everything's okay. And they wonder, wow, what happened to Krishna? But then suddenly they burst out laughing. Radharani and the gopis just burst out laughing. Oh, look at him. Oh, my Lord, what happened to him? And Krishna thought, what's the matter? What's going on here? I'm cool. I'm milking the cow. Why are they laughing at me? But Nectar of Devotion says, you know what happened? Why they were laughing? Listen to this, devotees. He was milking a bull. Nectar of Devotion says that. And then he noticed and he thought, it happened again. I know. Yeah, so Krishna, his devotees, they love each other. The relationships are so deep and beautiful and wonderful. And the devotees, the great devotees, they become very, very special people because of that. I think are they looking at me like I should stop? No. Hint, hint. Anyway, yeah, so, yes, so there's one devotee. His name is Sridhar. He is the brother of Srimati Radharani. And again, if you know the Bhagavatam a bit, and you know the 10th canto, the stories of Krishna and what he did all those years, then you would know that at some point Krishna left Vrindavan and he went to Mathura and stayed there for 13 or so years. Then he went to Dwarka. He became an adopted Gujarati. I'm sure we have a number of you Gujaratis here. I'm sure he speaks very good Gujarati. Kem cha? Chalia Korea. Anyway, yeah, okay. So, Krishna, the day before he was going to leave for Mathura, he went around visiting the devotees and telling them, tomorrow I'm going to Mathura. And so, we won't be seeing each other every day. But, he said, but I will do my best to come back the next day. If, it gets complicated, at least the following day. And Sridhar said, my Lord, you know what? I just have this feeling you're not coming back. And Krishna said, no, I'm going to come back. If not the next day or the day after, at least the third day, I'll come back. Don't worry. It's all right. So Sridhar said, all right, okay. So you know what I'm going to do? I will wait here. Means here, like X marks the spot. on this actual point right here. I will stay here till you come back. And Krishna said, fine, do that, no problem, because I'll be back soon. Probably the next day, but at least, the next couple of days. So Sridham stood there and said, right, I'm just waiting here. So Krishna then left. Next day he didn't come back. Day after he didn't come back, Sridham was still standing there, can you imagine? On the same spot. And even the third day, Krishna didn't come back. Sridham had not moved. And his poor parents, can you imagine? He's just a young boy, like 10 years old or something. They came and told him, you can't stay there, you've got to come home. And Sridham said, no, I told Krishna I will stay here till he comes back. I am staying here. Ho gaya. So, after 1 week, Krishna had not come back. But Sridham was still standing on the very spot. 1 week, 1 month, 1 month, Krishna had not come back. Sridham had not moved. Can you believe it? 6 months, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. Krishna had not returned. Sridham was still standing on the very spot. It was just very extreme. 5 years, 10 years, 50 years. He was still there. Then, finally, Krishna returned. Devotees, get this. 4,500 years later, Krishna returned as Lord Chaitanya. Sridham had turned into a deity, like solid figure, and he was still there. And Krishna as Lord Chaitanya came and embraced him, the deity. It's the same person. The body is actually transformed. Lord Chaitanya, Krishna came as Lord Chaitanya, embraced him and said, you see, I told you I'd come.